Every story begins with the land, with people who dare to grow, to lead, and feed the world. This is the Let's Talk Agriculture podcast, where Africa's voice in food and agribusiness meets the global stage.
All right, so when we talk about agriculture innovation, most of us think about technology. We think about digital platforms, mechanization, or even AI. But what if innovation could be as simple as developing better seeds? A crop that cooks faster, survives droughts, resists pests, or simply better meet the needs of the farmers who grow it. So today's conversation is about innovation. How does it begin? And of course, it starts by understanding the people. And my guest for today is Dr. Gloria Adazebra, a research scientist and plant breeder at CSIR Savannah Agricultural Research Institute in Ghana. And her work focuses on developing improved cowpea varieties. But beyond the science, she's helping us think differently about how agricultural innovation should be designed, by listening to the farmers and understanding their realities. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. Gloria. I'm really excited to have you here today.
Thank you very much, and I'm excited speaking with you.
Great. So I would really love to start with the word innovation, because sometimes this is something that we hear all the time, right? And when you think about agriculture innovation, what does that really, really mean to you?
To me, as a researcher, as a plant breeder, immediately you mentioned innovation or agricultural innovation. What comes to my mind first and foremost is the everyday realities of a farmer on the field and what solution I can bring or what solutions are available to such a farmer. So for me, agricultural innovation has to do with looking for the simple solutions that solves the everyday problem a farmer faces on the field. It could be as simple as developing a crop variety that meets the specific needs of the farmer or bringing out a specific innovation or solution. It can be as simple as just changing a farming method that better suits the farmer's needs. So for me, agricultural innovation can be as simple as just looking for the best possible solution to a farmer's challenge that can help the farmer in his or her everyday life, in his or her farming business.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that's really interesting, right? Because you see, when I think many people immediately think about technology, what's come to their mind is innovation. I mean, many people immediately think that technology is just equivalent to innovation, right? But listening to you talk, it just really shows that innovation is really about solving problems. And that really brings me to ask this question that I have in mind, right? Because when you're developing a new crop variety, where do those problems actually come from?
Yeah, so in a breeding program, before you even start thinking about developing a crop variety, your first and foremost thought is to think about the farmer. So then you think about the farmer by talking to the farmer to see the realities on the ground. What are the problems that they are facing before you can think of formulating your goals or aims? So to bring out a variety, it is not about the researcher sitting down to think that, okay, if I bring these traits together in an improved variety or crop, it will help the farmer. It is about beginning at where the problem lies. So for me, talking to a farmer is the first point of being able to identify what you actually need to do. So we begin by involving the farmer right from the onset so that the farmer will give you his or her opinion about the challenges that they are facing on the ground, about the realities that they encounter each and every day. So for a breeding process, that is where the whole breeding programs begin at. You talk to the farmer, you understand their realities, you take up what they are giving you, understand their priorities. For a farmer, the problems may be numerous, but they need to prioritize. Which one do you think that if we solve first, it will be of maximum help to you? Where will your greatest fulfillment come from if you prioritize your challenges on the farm? So for me, that is where the whole breeding process starts from. Before you think about now going to look at your goals, your aims, and going through the laboratory and developing whatever crop varieties that you want to bring out to the farmer.
Thank you. I think that's a really good way to approach it, right? I say this because of my conversations with different founders, especially agritech founders, right? When they're trying to design a new product, they focus more on what they actually want to do and not speaking directly to the farmers, the people they're building the solutions for. And that's why you hear them talking about low adoption from the farmers. But then again, I always question, did you actually speak to these farmers before trying to design a solution for them? So hearing you talk about this just confirmed my thoughts around this whole developing solutions for farmers. And I think that's really an interesting approach. And I really, really wish, trust me, that lots of businesses, especially agritech founders that are building solutions for the farmers, would really take up this approach, because many people sit behind designing fancy tools, I mean, for the farmers, without actually talking to them. So thank you so much for really putting the farmers first, right, before going back to your lab. So I like that because, I think sometimes people imagine scientists, they spend all their time in the lab as well. But from what you're describing, there's actually a lot of listening involved, of which I really appreciate that. And that's why I shared my thoughts around what I see from many agritech founders. And so what does that listening process actually look like for you?
So, as I mentioned, our initial point of contact is the farmer. It is not just about listening to the farmer, but being able to decipher what the farmer is actually telling you. You need to help the farmer to be able to prioritize. So you have to have a listening ear, some sort of empathy about what challenges they are going through. Yes, we understand that most of the time you cannot solve every challenge that they are facing, but you need to make them understand that we have to prioritize which one comes first. Which one do you need to help me to be able to understand what you are going through? So with that, we first listen, we help them prioritize, we engage them frequently, not only at the beginning, but during the whole process. So let me just give you a quick example. Initially, we have what we call focus group discussions with the farmers. That one helps us to be able to understand the challenges and the day-to-day needs of the farmer. Then, when we are formulating our goals, priorities, they are equally involved. During the breeding process, we equally bring them in what we term as the participatory varietal selection. That is, if we are able to get their priorities, formulate our objectives and all that, and we begin the breeding process, you don't just at the end just push a product to them, but you have a list of products that you have, but you still need the farmer to come in and to look at what you have. Does it help them? Does it support what they actually want? And all this goes to help you reprioritize whatever you are doing. So for a variety selection process, the farmer comes in, look at what you are offering. Does it better suit them in their environment, in their everyday challenges? And at the end, the farmer will tell you that, okay, for this particular one, it meets my needs because it is high yielding, it is good for my environment, so I can easily cultivate this on my farm, which I think I will make a very good profit, or I'll be able to feed my family. Equally, they will tell you, okay, I like this one, but it is sort of lacking in this area. Could you improve this aspect of it? And that brings me to when you are dealing with a whole different types of people. So, for example, in our everyday today activities with farmers, we deal with male farmers, female farmers, young farmers, old farmers. So, what a group of farmers will be interested in may not be what the other will be interested in. Let me just give you an example. We had a participatory varietal selection for Bambara granules, and our farmers, which consisted of both males, females, young and old, the male farmers, what they were interested in was how easy it was to uproot the Bambara granule from the ground, because it can be quite difficult how to bring it out from the ground. So sometimes you need to dig it out. Their focus was on how easy is it for me to dig it out without most of my seeds remaining on the ground. And they were also looking at yield. Then we saw that one particular woman, her concern was never about how to dig it out, because she knew that that wasn't her problem. That wasn't her challenge. Her challenge was that how easy is it for her to pluck the granite off the plant, because usually the males dig it out, then the females plug it out. So these were two different people. They were looking at two different scenarios altogether. So for somebody who was thinking of, okay, I need to be able to dig everything out, another person was thinking that how easy will it be for me
Mm.
to plug this thing out of it. So you need to understand that you are working with different people and they have different expectations. So, in bringing all these people along, you need to actually listen to their concerns and see how best you can incorporate their concerns into your breeding program.
And I've seen that you've really done so much around that. I mean, trying to bring it down to their everyday realities. And in all of this, you've really talked about women farmers. And I don't think that many people realize that men and women can experience farming very differently. So I just want you to help me understand that a little bit more from your experience so far working with both gender.
It's always quite interesting when you are working with both gender, because on rare occasions do you have the same expectations coming from the same the different groups of people. Usually, for you to get your best possible answers, we sort of try to separate the different genders so that one's voice will not overshadow the other. In so doing, you are able to appreciate the challenges that each gender encounters in their farming business. So, for example, most of the time, a male farmer is actually interested in yield. Okay, will this variety yield? And I'll give you an example. When we are looking at a cowpea with a farmers, so what the male farmer will tell them, okay, is it high yielding? We say, okay, yes, it is high yielding. Then the next thing is it resistant to pests and diseases? Because I know for cowpea, when I'm cultivating cowpea, I need to spray a lot. How resistant is it to pests and diseases? Because that will inform the farmer the labor requirements, because the farmer will have to purchase the chemicals, look for labor to spray weed and all that. So that is where the male farmer is thinking about. When you speak with the female farmer, most of the times they are thinking about how appealing is the seed, that if I see the seed, it will look attractive for me. to use it to feed my family or send it to the market to sell and make an yeah, to make an
Okay,
income for my
I'm guilty of
family.
that too.
And then how easy is it to cook? Because I don't want to waste my time cooking for a number of hours just to feed my family. How easy is it to process? Because processing also involves a lot of labor. So the fact that the male farmer is talking about yield, the female farmer is like, what is the point if it is very high yielding, but it doesn't taste nice to me, my family? That means that even if I send it to market, I will not fetch premium price from it. So that sort of brings two contrasting tastes into your breeding program. So that is why I talked about prioritizing. So okay, we know that yield is very important. Yes, we'll consider yield when we are. What of the other traits that the male farmer is bringing on board? Do we focus on only what the male farmer wants, or we can incorporate what the female farmer is also encountering in their everyday life and activities? So these are some of the things we talk about prioritizing. So, okay, we cannot fit all your challenges and improve only one variety to meet all your demands. What we can do is that the female farmer prioritize what you think that is your most pressing challenge. Then the male farmer also prioritize your most pressing challenge, so that we'll see whether we can bring a solution to these challenges, so that whilst we are having a high yielding cowpea variety, we are equally having a very good tasting and appealing cowpea that a female farmer will love to readily adopt, cook for the family, or send it to the market for sale. So this is how we try to work with the different genders that we usually encounter. So yes, you can have very different challenges from the different genders, but you need to listen to them carefully, ask probing questions, let them prioritize, so that you can come out with a better solution, which even if it doesn't make all of them too happy, but majority will be happy with the product that you will come out at the end of the day.
Thank you for sharing that. And since we are now talking, because I this is sounding more like gender sensitive plant breeding, right? So I would like to get a simpler explanation or meaning of what this actually means, especially for someone that is just hearing the term for the first time.
Yeah. So for me, usually I try as much as possible to say that I am very gender sensitive, because sometimes if you are not careful, people may accuse you because you are a particular gender, you are favoring this gender over the other. But then when you talk about gender responsive plant breeding, we're simply looking at or recognizing the different types of genders that you need to work with. So we have the male gender, the female gender. You can have the young, the old, because each of them have their own different priorities. And each of them can experience agriculture in very different ways. So they each have their own needs and priorities when it comes to the cultivation of crops. So in gender responsive plant breeding, you try to recognize the role that each gender plays in the plant breeding process. So an equal involvement of each gender, their views and opinions, in order to maximize the efforts that the plant breeder is trying to make.
Thank you for sharing that. So, do you maybe have like an example you want to share? Maybe something women farmers shared, right, that actually changed the way a variety was developed.
Yes. So I have already talked about the taste and the other preferences. So in time past, most of the breeding efforts was basically centered on high yielding varieties pest and disease resistance, drought tolerance, and so on and so forth. But in recent years, we have noted that people are much more now concerned about the taste of a variety. So in so doing, now you don't just want to bring out a high yielding cowpea variety, but you also want to incorporate a good tasting cowpea variety. That's when they actually taste it, they'll say, yeah, I really love this one. We are also very conscious about the cooking time. So in our recent efforts, we also try to incorporate like fast cooking time and easy to process, because sometimes the different dishes that are being prepared from, let's say, cowpea, you have different processing methods for that. So, for example, how easy is it to remove the seed coat? How, what is the quantity of flour that you can get out of a processed cowpea variety? So these are some of the traits that has come out recently, and it is shaping how we are carrying out our plant breeding process. So now you are not only looking at a one-sided opinion, but you are trying to incorporate the realities of the other gender into the breeding process. So uh, when you look at now the varieties that we are coming out with, I like talking about cowpea because I love cowpea so much. So most of my examples are centered on cowpea anyway. So for the varieties that we are bringing out on cowpea, you realize that we are very conscious about cooking time, the uh, the taste and the appeal of dishes being prepared from this. And we do that when we get to what we call sensory evaluation, because they will come and evaluate it during the sensory evaluation process so that they can give you a better feedback as to whether it meets their taste and all those kind of things. So yes, it has actually shaped how breeding is being carried out now.
So since you actually like cowpea, I just want to know, of all the crops that you could have focused on, why did you choose cowpea? Why do you like it?
Ah, my cowpea story is very interesting. I grew up, yeah, in the farming community. So I was basically born into farming, and my mom was a farmer. My dad, even though he was a teacher, but he was equally a farmer. So there was a particular year that my mom farmed her cowpea on the field far away in the bush. And it wasn't easy for her to visit the farm every day. So it was like it took her some time. And then somebody, a neighbor farmer, came to inform her that your cowpea is doing very well on the field. But if you don't go to spray it, you will not harvest a single thing. Because they actually saw that the podding was very good, but there was due to the good podding, it attracted a lot of insect pests on her cowpea pods.
Oh, wow.
So she became distressed because she wanted to salvage the situation. But at that point, this was something that she didn't allocate money to buy chemicals. Neither did she have the intention of hiring labor to go and spray her cowpea. So it became interesting because the struggle, the everyday struggle that she was going through just to have a good harvest of her cowpea, it was something like I felt like, okay, what if maybe we got a cowpea variety that you just plant it, maybe you weed, apply your fertilizer, and just go and harvest it. And that is it. No struggle, nothing. Wouldn't it be nice just to have that? And again, it's like when we were, of course, we used to go to school. So when you come home and your lunch consisted of your favorite dish, that included cowpea. So for Ghana, you have wache, which I love very much. So imagine if I come home and there's wache waiting for me. That's is the best day ever for me. But when you come back and like it's a different dish, you're like, I wish I could get my favorite dish. So this impacted me growing up. And as I mentioned, when you come home and you get your favorite dish, that dish is dependent on the amount of harvest that my mom was able to make during the planting season. So if she harvested a good quantity of cowpea seed, you know that during that period, you will have what you really love. But when she has a poor harvest, that will mean that you have to make do with whatever is there. So cowpea has always been a favorite crop of mine, even growing up. And it has a whole lot of significance for me. And even in the cultural sense, it's very important because in my culture, where I come from, a funeral is never completed without the preparation of a cowpea dish. So that's made me love working with cowpea and being involved in the cowpea breeding program.
Okay, that's an interesting story, and I'm really, really surprised how you didn't get tired of eating something like because I think I would get tired. I mean, saying something every time. Oh my goodness, I'll probably maybe abuse it, get tired. I mean, I get
If,
tired.
if if you know cowpea, you will know that you can never get tired because you can prepare 1,001 dishes from cowpea.
I
You don't have
know, but
a particular dish. Yeah.
oh my goodness.
Mm,
Right. So,
mm.
one thing I found interesting while preparing this conversation is that cowpea is something that many of us eat regularly. I mean, we have live example right now, and that's you, right?
Yeah.
But very few people stop to, think about everything that goes into improving it. So, what are some of the biggest challenges the farmers face when growing cowpea today?
Ah, farmers will tell you a lot because in as much as humans will love cowpea, so do animals, so do insect pests. So aside from my experience in helping my parents to cultivate cowpea, me as a researcher, having met several farmers and trying to find out the challenges, what they usually tell you that, oh, we want a high yielding cowpea variety. If you say, but we have a lot of high yielding cowpea varieties, they'll tell you that yes, there are high yielding cowpea varieties, but during cultivation, we don't see that. And it is because there's so much insect pest pressure on the cowpea when we are cultivating. So at the end of it all, even though it is high yielding, but the insects come to take everything away. So we basically have nothing left. And the farmer will tell you that during the cultivation, at every stage of the cowpea plant growing cycle, at least one or two insect pests attack it. So you can think about the seedling stage where if in case you have drought, you can have the aphids attacking the crop. When it is flowering, you can have the flowering pests such as the maruca, that's the pod borer, the legume pod borer, that is Maruca vitrata, attacking it. At podding, again, you find Maruca attacking the pods as well as pod sucking bags. So all this, the farmer will tell you that it makes it difficult for us to actually realize the yield potential of the variety. So if we can have a high yielding cowpea variety that is equally pest resistant, it will make our day. So most of the time, their topmost priority is pest resistance. And then we will look at now the ever-changing climatic conditions. Then they will throw in that, oh, but if it's also drought tolerant, it will be good because nowadays we don't get enough rains as we used to. So they have a whole list of challenges that they are facing. They have traits that they want you to improve, but you have to probe further to see which of them do they really think that is most challenging for them. And for me as a breeder, speaking with them these days, what they talk about is the insect pest of cowpea, that it is really devastating their cowpea farms. And this, when you have pests on your field, it increases your cost of production because you will need to buy chemicals, you need to hire labor to spray and all that. And even sometimes, because some people don't take their time to read the labels on these chemicals, they spray and harvest, which you will know the other effects that can also
Mm.
have with them. So for me as a breeder, I would say that in recent times, insect pests has really been a challenge for most cowpea farmers in our parts of the world.
Thank you so much for sharing that. There's something I've really been curious about, and it cuts across different sectors, right? Developing a new variety is one thing, but getting the farmers to actually use it is something else. So I'm sure that you might have experienced some sort of drawback, right, from the farmers. Maybe you could share something around that as well.
Yeah. So I've already talked about an inclusive plant breeding, and that is the approach that we are currently using. And we have realized that it's working in terms of adoption. Time passed, it was just okay. Even if you involve the farmers at the beginning, at the later stages, you don't bother to go back and involve them. And then you bring out a product and you realize that it did not meet their specifications. So adoption was very low. But with the 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 kind of breeding program that we have initiated, we realize that it is working because the farmers are able to see what is actually happening because they gave you their challenges, their priorities, and you initiated the breeding program. And during the breeding program, you made them to see the results that is given. So I'll just give you an example of the pod border resistant cowpea that we recently developed and released in Ghana. So during the whole process, farmers were involved. At a point in time, we even gave out the seed to the farmers to manage the way they usually do on their farms. And that really helped in driving the adoption of that. And so you keep on hearing farmers say, that, oh, when will the variety actually come out for us to cultivate it on our farms? If we had not taken such an approach and we just go to tell the farmer that, oh, we have developed a pod borer resistant cowpea, come and take it, the farmer will not mind you because the farmer has not really seen what it is doing on the field. So they will have no interest in doing that. So we have shifted away from trying to do everything by the researcher and just send it to the farmer. I'd rather involve the farmer at every step of the breeding process, and that has actually helped in driving the adoption of new crop varieties. So for me, we are trying to do away with that kind of farmers are not adopting this technology. Why are farmers not adopting it? Because maybe you didn't do something right at the beginning or during the breeding process. So now we are shifting away from that and trying to bring them together. And also, you know that in most parts of Africa or sub-Saharan Africa, our seed systems is not so much in the formal system. But for us to be able to drive that kind of adoption, we try as much as possible to follow the formal seed system. That also helps to drive adoption because you have to involve each and every partner because each and every partner has a role to play. And so for me as a breeder, when I finish the development process, come out with a good variety, I don't struggle to go and look for, oh, who will adopt this? because maybe I was already working with partners, farmers being key, agriculture extension officers also being key, and all that. So each of us have a role to play, and that has actually helped in the adoption process.
That's amazing. I mean, that really shows that it takes an entire ecosystem to work on this. So I would like to just talk about more. I mean, you've been talking about your work around Ghana, but I feel like many of these challenges they exist across Africa.
Yeah.
When you look across the continent, where do you see the biggest opportunities for agriculture innovation?
Oh, I will say right where I am.
Okay, let me make
Yeah.
let me make it let me bring it down a bit, right? So do you think that
Yeah.
African countries are collaborating enough when it comes to agriculture research?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would say that we are doing our best.
Okay,
Maybe there is always, as they say, room for improvement. Yes, but we are doing our best because we have the human resource, the human knowledge as Africans to drive agricultural research wherever we are. You don't need to go and bring somebody differently to come and assess your problems or your needs for you. But for us to be very innovative, we look at our everyday surroundings, our everyday lives with the farmers, the everyday challenges that they are facing. We have been living with them. We know the realities on the ground. And we also have the brains to be able to bring out innovative measures that will help them.
I
So
agree.
partnership is very good because there are certain things that you will need from a different part of the world to help you with. But we equally have that to support us in our agricultural research. As I said earlier on, we are doing our best, but there's always a room for improvement.
Definitely. There's always room for improvement, actually, because for me personally, I don't like seeing those sport borers. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm eating something wrong, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh
Uh,
my goodness. But really, I mean, it's really great to see that someone is actually dedicating, putting time in actually doing that. So I really commend you, scientists and researchers, because I don't think I have the strength, the power to do what you are doing right now. So take your
thank,
flowers, right?
thank
Take them.
you.
Yeah. So what has let me say what's the biggest lesson that this journey has taught you so far in the years of working?
Yeah. I would say that don't underestimate the power or the knowledge of a farmer because the farmer has the knowledge. They have been doing this
Exactly.
over and over and over again. They have had the knowledge of their forefathers being passed down. It may not be written, but it is something that has been passed down to them. So you do not underestimate them by the fact that you have gone to school and taken a certificate. You try to incorporate their knowledge with whatever you have and make it better and make their livelihoods much better. So that is the little I will say about that.
And as much as it sounds little, this is something very strong, I must say, because I mean, yes, they have knowledge that has been passed down, and we shouldn't even take it for granted at all. Different angles, different kind of knowledge, even outside of farming as well. Different generation have passed so many things down, and incorporating what they know and what you know can really do a lot for us. Thank you for sharing that important lesson. And I
Yeah,
think that's something I would take away myself for any other kind of discussion. But before I let you go, if there's
thank
one
you.
thing you hope that people take away from this conversation, what would it be? No, that was your lesson. So, but yeah, what do you want people to take away right now?
Okay. I would like people to know that for every improved variety, it begins with a farmer's challenge and ends with a farmer's hope. Because as scientists, our role is not just about developing better crop varieties, but also to create opportunities and better conditions for brighter futures of our farmers. So if we listen to our farmers and we work together and with support in our agricultural research, I believe that we can have our challenges solved within ourselves.
Thank you so much for this amazing discussion. I really have enjoyed talking to you, and I really learned something myself. And hopefully, this will be a very good message for the young people that are also trying to get into this space, because we need more of them as well. So, I think that one thing this conversation has reminded me is that innovation isn't always about the next big technology like we think. Sometimes it's about listening, understanding people's realities, and, designing solutions that truly make a difference. So I really want to appreciate you for sharing your work and your insights with us. And thank you again for joining the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me on this your podcast. And it has really been great having this conversation with you.
Thank you so much. And I look forward to future conversations and keeping in touch with your work, because I think I'll be getting more food
Okay.
from you, right? I, I,
Oh,
I actually I
oh.
like I like this food too, just so you know. And I
Yeah.
passed it down to my daughter as well, and
Oh,
she likes it too.
that's great.
So it's a family thing, right? We love it.
Yeah, yeah.
so so yeah, I'll be keeping in touch with
Yeah,
you.
thank
So
you.
in case you have new new varieties, please do send it to me,
All right.
so I can stop dealing with this one I have here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate this conversation. Yes, thank you so much. And guys, please do well to subscribe and connect with us. And if you have questions, do well to share, and we can always see how to answer your questions when we get answers from our guests. Thank you so much, guys, and do stay connected. Cheers.
You have been listening to the Let's Talk Agriculture podcast, a production of LTA Studio. Keep the conversation growing. Follow and share wherever you get your podcasts.